This is Suburban On Air and Cohen in the City. Here is Mike Cohen.
We are honored by your presence this evening for this very special presentation of Knuckles, the Chris Nilan Story.
Santé monétaire, c'est très important pour la banque. On est très impliqué ici à Montréal et partout au Canada avec les organisations comme la Fondation Barry Lorenzetti et son équipe.
I think it's just an amazing story, and I think that story needs to be heard.
A little nervous, to be honest with you. A lot of people out there, and, bare my soul in front of everybody.
Chris is not an actor. What you see and what you're going to see tonight is Chris Nilan, a storyteller.
You can't judge someone on just one part of their life. You got to look at their life in totality.
Ladies and gentlemen, le numéro 30, number 30, Chris Nilan.
I am grateful I'm here and I'm still alive. I think to understand how Knuckles became Knuckles, you have to go back to the beginning. 5 years old. This is the first time I ever took opiates in my life. Alcohol was rampant in my family. And I got so fed up with getting punched or slapped in the head. When I went out my front door, that was it. I had a chip on my shoulder. My father hardened me up for my life. In the span of 4 months, I'm not only a drug addict, I'm an alcoholic. I was ashamed of myself. I was ashamed of losing my family. I ended up going to treatment, sitting in the hall one day, and this woman comes walking in. Today, that's my wife, Jaimie, and I really believe this is God answering my prayers. Jaimie said to me, Chris, I love you. I don't want you to die. You got to get well. You know what you got to do. The thing I've realized is that it's never, ever too late. If we can just stop and listen, maybe we'd see the good. Maybe we'd find the strength. And just maybe we'd find the love that's been sitting there the whole damn time.
I'm here with Jaimie Holtz Nilan, Chris Nilan's wife, and four-part series of Chris bearing his soul, an incredible performance. But Chris not only told his story, Jaimie, but he told your story as well. How did it feel to be in the audience?
A little part of my story.
Yes. How did it feel, though?
It felt okay. It's been long enough where, I'm. It's not as emotional as it used to be, but it still is good to kind of relive it, because it's good to remember, to never forget where we were, where I was, and how fast it can get bad again. So
both of you recovered from addiction. Do you really try to be role models right now for people out there in society? And by doing this show and Chris bearing his soul, you're sending a good message to people out there.
Yeah, Chris, I think, is a natural role model. I don't know if he necessarily set out to be that, but he is one. I don't try and be a role model. I just try and, wake up every day and stay sober and clean for one more day and support him in the best I can.
When you met Chris in a rehab center, you had no idea that he had been a famous hockey player.
No idea. I was born and raised in Kona, Hawaii, and when I met him, I just said, "What do you do for work?" He said, "I used to play hockey," and that's as far as it went.
So now you come here. Chris really turned his life around. You turned your life around. And have you been shocked at how everywhere you go, people recognize your husband?
Yeah. I can't believe after this many years, like, we'll be out in the middle of nowhere, some little gas station, and people will recognize him. Yeah, it's crazy.
My final question is, he was up there for 1 hour and maybe an hour and a half at least speaking, and he could have gone on for a couple hours, but he spoke so eloquently.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that about him, but he is extremely well spoken, and I think this is what he was meant to do after hockey. I think this is the next chapter in his life, is telling his story and letting anybody out there know that if you want it, there's help out there, and if he can do, if he could do it, anybody can do it, because he was in a bad place.
Congratulations, Jaimie.
Thank you. And I've never done these interviews. This is my first one, so.
Oh, I am so honored. Well,
be.
Jaimie Holtz, his first ever interview. Wow. Well, make sure Chris shares it on Instagram. I'm here with the visionary Barry Lorenzetti. Your talent knows no end. You're much more than insurance. You're really like an impresario. And you came up with this idea, 4 shows, Knuckles, the Chris Nilan show. You talked about it. You introduced it a few months ago. Here we are, 4 shows, sold out, Maison Principale, and you turned Chris Nilan almost into a skilled actor.
Well, I don't take any responsibility for that. That's Vito, our playwright. He worked with Chris. It was quite a challenge, I'll say, because Chris, like I said on stage tonight, Chris is a storyteller. He's not an actor, and so and he's Irish, so they like to talk, right? I'm half Irish, but Chris and Vito worked well together, and you can see by the 4 shows sold out, we attracted over 1,000 people to these shows, which is quite remarkable in today's arena. And so very pleased with the results. Kind of sad that it's over.
Well, it's over, Barry, but the question is that this was a whole new thing. I've never seen anything like it. So it's giving you ideas to do something similar down the line with another high-profile personality, perhaps?
Yeah, a couple of things come to mind. I mean, we're going to focus on Chris. We had people from Boston. We had the press, Boston Globe. We had the New York Times. We've been approached. Maybe, there may be some interest in Boston. We're thinking about it.
I was thinking
there's Ottawa, and there's a few places, but this is our mandate. This is our theme, our foundation, mental health. To have somebody like Chris Nilan, who are the persona with him, the tough guy, and to bare his soul, really, it was really raw. And for him to come out and talk about these things, men have a tough time talking about these things. So we've had some preliminary chats with a couple of other people, well-known sports figures, and we'd like to look at this perhaps as a series. And there's some businessmen that also. So I don't think we're going to restrict it to sports. It's all about mental health, and we're going to just keep doing a great job. So proud of my staff, so proud of my people that really put a lot of time and effort into this.
Congratulations, Barry.
Thanks so much for this. I really appreciate it.